Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mikhail, obviously. You're on my Facebook page. 11 o'clock meeting got canceled today, which is really nice because it actually allowed me to free up some time to do a Facebook Live today. I think I actually want to start doing them on Tuesdays more often, which is really cool, and actually just make it a regular thing. So whether it's like uncomfortable Facebook Live sessions with Mick, or if it's just something like this, it doesn't really have to be like anything huge or special. Hi to the 5 people that just logged in. Katie, how you doing? Thank you for checking in today. I just hope it doesn't start raining while I'm doing this, but if it does, it's perfectly fine. I just wanted to drop in for a little bit and talk about Lady Gaga. I've actually loved Lady Gaga for a long time. Back, I think when she did the Born This Way record, is when I actually started falling in love with her, was the thing. Yeah, in love. And asked my mom, actually, she used to watch her like live concert that was an HBO special, like on repeat, like 6 or 7 years back. I don't really remember how long ago it was, but that's not really the point. Obviously, I'm assuming a lot of you guys actually watched the Super Bowl with her Super Bowl performance, which in my opinion was phenomenal. And then here's what happens. On Twitter, on Facebook, I just looked up on Snapchat too. We're talking about Lady Gaga's belly. Like, she had a little bit. How do I feel about her performance? I think her performance was phenomenal. I mean, but I'm also biased, but I thought it was really good. And I also think that it was cool to have a performer that didn't bring up a lot of other performers at the same time, so she really held her own. I thought it was cool that she didn't really go political. I heard that she would have gotten fined a crap ton of money if she actually did. But again, that's not really the point. You know, obviously Lady Gaga has come a long way to do what she's, to be where she is. But as I was saying, like, what happens after the show is that, you know, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, there's all these memes as well, and on Snapchat, like, if you actually go through and read the articles, apparently Lady Gaga had a belly, and that's what we're talking about. Like, there was a little bit of pudge or something. I didn't notice. I thought she looked fire, personally. I think she's insanely gorgeous. But I think that there's a fundamental problem with our society right now. Obviously, with all the politics stuff, I'm not a politics guy, but this is something that I'm actually really, like, heavy on. Like, how in the world are we making a little bit of pudge on a superstar or whatever, or on anybody for that matter? How are we making a little pudge on somebody, a trending topic ever? Like, how, like, and this, you know, and it's not just about the trending topic on Facebook, on Twitter, or anything like that. How do we ever sit around a table, drink beers, and like talk shit on other people for how they look, or, you know, who they are as a person? I mean, yeah, I mean, like, we all fall like victim to a little bit of gossiping every so often, but the fact that, like, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people actually making Lady Gaga's belly like a part of their lives and ripping apart somebody who's apparently come through a lot to get to where she is, not just musically, but in her brand, in her stardom, to be on stage. Like, what is actually wrong with us? I don't get it. And it actually breaks my heart to know that this is a real thing. Like, the fact that people have nothing better to do than to talk crap on other people, instead of like thinking about, like, what can we do in our immediate circle to make things better? What can we do to better ourselves, so that we can, like, show more love to other people or give more to other people? Instead, we're sitting back and we're talking about how everybody else is doing it wrong. Like, no, you're doing it wrong. If you're sitting around and you're talking about how somebody else could be doing something better, you're doing it wrong. The number one thing that you should do if something is going wrong in your life is think about what you can do to make it better, or what you've done in the past for that stuff to go wrong. Because at the end of the day, 95% of the time, the circumstance that you're in at any given point in time is a direct reflection of the quality of the decisions that you've made to lead up to that point. It's nobody else's fault. It's nobody else's fault. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting that people want to tear people down like that instead of building each other up. It doesn't make sense to me. And I really do hate it. It causes body image issues. It causes insecurities. It causes anxieties, which lead to, like, potentially not just like depression or anxiety or anything like that, but could potentially lead to violence, which, like, pushes somebody down from being like the best version of themselves. That's what happens every time you talk shit on somebody else. That's what's actually happening. And it's super easy to tear somebody down. It's super easy to point at somebody else and be like, yo, you're not doing it right, or she's not doing it right, or she needs to do this better, or she needs to dress better, or he needs to like lose some weight or something like that. You know what I mean? It's so easy to do that. You know what's harder, but what's exponentially better is if you take the time to compliment somebody, to lift somebody up, to give a suggestion on like, to them one-on-one on like, hey, look, like, you know, I noticed that you've been working out a lot lately. If you do this with your diet, your results might be, you know, exponentially better or something like that. You know, it's harder. Maybe it's not harder. For me, it's not harder. It's really not. I like to think that I like to lift up my friends and things like that. But, you know, obviously I jab with my buddies too, like with each other. But, you know, what does the world actually look like if we spent time lifting each other up instead of tearing everybody down? What does the world look like? All of the change that you actually want in the world, all the change that you want with like the political landscape and all of that starts with you. With the social landscape, all of that starts with you and how you treat other people. Just one person. Say one nice thing to somebody that you haven't said something nice to in a long time. Do that instead. It's much, much better. That's all I got for today. Vinny, let's jam real quick. Unfortunately, with the number of sad, negative people in this world, it's easy for them to critique and bank through a computer because, sadly, they are not happy with their own life. And you know what? I actually really agree with you on that, and that's heartbreaking as well. I think it's heartbreaking that it does come from a place of insecurity. It does, you know, when people are lashing out, I think it comes from a place of insecurity. It comes from their own depressions. It comes from their own like feelings of failure or whatever it might be. And that part really bums me out too. And that's why I'm so much about like the personal development thing, taking time to like understand what you're really good at, taking time to really love yourself, to be grateful for the fact that, yo, like, maybe I wasn't tall enough to be a basketball player, because at one point in my life I actually wanted to be a basketball player, but I thank God every day for the fact that like I have this opportunity to speak to you guys now, and that's a change that I could make, you know. Or for somebody that might not, you know, that might not be very good at math, could be really good in sports, or if they're not really good in sports, could be really good at history. Like, I'm so about like focusing on the things that you're strong at and surrounding yourself with people that will lift you up and point out the things that are great about you. That's who you should surround yourself around. And I think that that's a big change. But people have to make those hard decisions on like, who are the people in my life that are actually lifting me up? Who are the people in my life that are actually pushing me to progress as a person, professionally, socially, in my relationships, whatever it might be. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it does start with one. And I'm not going to retract what I said by any means, because I think that the time that is spent, you know, let's say tearing Lady Gaga down on Twitter or whatever it might be for like a little bit of pudge, she looked hot, like really hot. Like the fact that instead of spending time on that, spend time on like, yeah, like, you know, maybe I should hit the gym, or maybe, you know, I should, you know, figure out what's good in my life so that I can like portray or put out that type of energy instead of like a type of negative energy. I'm so glad that like I like heart all of these like positive energy, like lifting, uplifting posts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because now all the negative shit is getting filtered out and I don't even have to deal with it anymore. But it's still very apparent that it's there. And like, I really hope, Vinny, I know that you're one of the guys. Morgan, thank you so much for checking in. I know that you're one of the girls too that really want to like lift other people up. Shani, if you're still here, I saw you too. Araceli as well. I saw you guys in here, and it's like, maybe we're the ones that have to like start pushing that out and make it a real thing and start, you know, putting out positive energy instead of tearing other people down. I know I've repeated myself like 7 times with that, but it's so important. It's a little bit tougher, it's a little bit harder, but the change that it makes is so much better. Anyways, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. Thank you so much for checking in. I love all of you a lot. Morgan, I'll talk to you soon.